Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days as we are heading into a pretty unsettled spell of weather as we do progress towards the end of May. Rain is starting to fall, especially in the west overnight tonight, and we are going to see more extensive rain through Thursday and Friday as we start to see the wind swinging from the west and the jet stream bringing back deeper areas of lower pressure. Now, at least initially, majority of the rain, cloud is going to be in the north and west, but we are expecting it to become a lot more widespread into the weekend and start of next working week. And yeah, does look like we're heading into a pretty horrible spell of weather. Lots of rain. Temperatures will, of course, take a dip as well with thicker cloud and that rain around. It could even get pretty windy as well at times as we do see tightening isobars, especially into next week. Now, as we have a look at the longer range, this sort of pattern is looking likely to last the rest of May, unfortunately, but there are tentative signs into early June that we could see the European high trying to extend across parts of southern England. Now, at the moment, we're not seeing a huge signal for this high pressure to engulf the whole of the British Isles, but it could just nudge our way. And what that could do is bring slightly drier conditions in the south, and of course could bring in warm or even hot air, like the GEM is showing this evening. But further northwards, it probably would remain unsettled, and the rainfall may even be exacerbated with that moist, humid air. So perhaps slight alterations there in the longer term, and we'll check that out in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, do like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see bits and bobs of rain around this evening. We're going this bit later on than normal, around 10 p.m. tonight, and you can see that we do have bits and bobs of rain for Tuesday evening. So not, a horrible evening, but we're starting to see that unsettled weather returning. Now, at the moment, this is just a small area of instability that's brought a bit of rain and could bring some more persistent precipitation into the south overnight tonight. All of this rain just to the south of Ireland, out into the Bristol Channel now. This is slowly heading eastwards and will bring some persistent rain. Now, for most, this rain's going to be overnight. We're not actually going to see much in the daytime, maybe still lingering around the early to mid-morning, but for most it should clear by the afternoon and will leave a few hefty thundery showers for southern England. So we are seeing some rain around tonight. Luckily, it is falling overnight, so could see a few millimetres in places, nothing too heavy, but yeah, shouldn't be affecting anything too much during the day. Now, earlier today, it was still fairly warm where we avoided the rain. You can see down central England where we've avoided rain and cloud and any cool sea breezes. Temperatures are still pretty mild, mid-teens, but it is going to slowly dip over the coming days as not only slightly fresher air does re-emerge, but of course, just generally cloud and rain will, of course, cool those temperatures down. It's inevitable in those sort of patterns. Now, if you look at the latest UKV now, you can see all of that rain earlier this afternoon, mainly showering, a few thunderstorms across the Republic of Ireland, but it'll turn into a larger spell of rain during early hours of Wednesday. You can see it's perhaps at its highest intensity there around 4, 5, 6 a.m. before slowly clearing, and you see just lingering across the south coast with a few specks of lighter rain further inland there around 10 a.m. on Wednesday. It will clear and then it will leave a few hefty thundery showers across central and southern England, and those will clear during the mid-afternoon. And for sunset, you can see plenty of clear skies and absence of cloud, and it looks like we're back to the summery feel. However, that's not going to last all too long. You can see as we head into Thursday, still pleasant conditions, especially during the morning, maybe a bit of thicker cloud, but not too bad. But through Thursday evening into Friday morning, you can start to see the wind direction shift. So Thursday still actually looks like a fairly dry day. It's Friday though. Look at that. Big area of thicker cloud and a wall of rain arriving for the north and the west. And as I said, the majority of this rain, at least initially, is going to be in those northern and western quadrants. However, will be widespread at times, perhaps through Saturday morning, and you just generally see lots of cloud, lots of on and off spells of rain and frequent showers piling in from the west, as we do see just this general unsettled theme returning. Now, we're not looking at any huge storm systems in the short term, so we're not expecting huge amounts of rainfall, probably no weather warnings issued for this, but just generally a much more miserable feel. No real consistency here. One day it's going to be sunshine and showers, other days could be thick cloud and heavy rain. So all changing later on this week, and it is going to continue into next week as well. If you look at the upper air temperature, you can still see they're fairly mild at the moment, a few degrees above average, and they're going to stay consistent over the next few days before eventually cooler air will start to push in and properly start to see chopping and changing air masses in from the west. You can see typical warm sector there into Saturday, and then a cold sector preceding it there into Sunday. So a classic westerly flow there, warm and cold air mixing in, probably overall resulting in kind of average temperatures. If you look at those max temperatures now, you can see earlier this afternoon touching the low 20s, so still fairly warm and humid today, where we avoided the showers and the rain. And you can see into Wednesday, could be a similar story in a few spots, avoiding again the showers and the rain, 20 or 21 degrees. Into Thursday, colder as that fresher northeasterly wind pushes in more towards the mid to high teens, and for Friday still pleasant in a few spots, maybe touching the 20-degree range once again, but slowly from the west we're starting to see that cooler air, perhaps a muggy feel on Saturday, although those temperatures are dropping, muggier feel because of that warm sector. But you can see into Sunday we're all into fresher air, especially the west there, where mid to low teens is going to be the top temperature, maybe still nudging around the 20 to 22 degree range in the east. We just about hang on to the warmer air, but all will be in that fresher air as we do head to the start of next week. Now, if you look at the latest GFS, you see high pressure is still kind of in control at the moment, but you've got that upper trough around right now, and that is causing that slightly wetter weather in the south at the moment. Eventually, though, the high pressure is going to lose all its strength, and by the weekend, look at this, a strong west to northwesterly wind is going to pile in, and that's going to dominate much of next week. Into the first few days of June, though, look at this, we could see high pressure, European high here, extending in from the southeast. Now, it could give slightly warmer and dry conditions for a time across southern England, but I don't think it's a pattern change, because we can see low pressure does pile back in the subsequent days. As I said, though, it could introduce some slightly warmer air, which could produce some thunderstorms, some slightly higher temperatures, and a bit of a warmer feel. You can see that with those oranges just to our south and our east. It's a little bit more obvious on the latest GM. Again, we look at that pattern change over the coming days with a strong westerly flow emerging, and then later on next week into the start of June, you can see a strong European high, and it does start to put in some very warm or even hot air in from the south. You can see the 850 HPA temperatures here are very warm, but look where the temperature clash is. It is across northern England, and we'd expect to see here heavy rain and even some thunderstorms developing. So this is the scenario I was talking about at the start of the video, where it could actually be very warm, maybe dry for a time there to start June in the far south, but actually further northwards it could still be abysmal, and that warmer humid air could actually exacerbate the rain and storms. And if we finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, broadly very similar, westerly flow re-emerging over the coming days, very strong low pressure systems piling in, no real change to end May, so no European high developing there. Eventually we see a bit of high pressure re-emerging here into early June, but it takes its time and it does try to push warm air our way, but never fully comes off. So again, all three runs slightly different in their longer term, but all consistent. Then the next week to 10 days, we're going to be reasonably unsettled with big chopping and changing upper air temperatures, with the rain focused in the north and west, but definitely pretty widespread at times. And we can see that on the latest ensembles. These are the latest GFS. Next week, all over the place. Below average next couple of days, above average, perhaps through the weekend, below average once again into the start of next week. Classic westerly flow. Precipitation isn't massive, but it is pretty consistent and frequent. Again, that's expected further south and eastwards, where we're furthest away from the sources of moisture in from the west. And of course, weather fronts will lose some of their intensities as they progress eastward. So expect a lot bigger spikes further westwards and northwards. However, into early June, or at least the last couple of days of May, perhaps, slight drying effect. That could be those runs with the European high, and slight warming trend there from the ensembles, mostly pushed by about 5 to 10 very warm ensemble members. So perhaps it's just a small trend in today's run, or it could be something that is starting to pop up a little bit more frequently. It's something to keep a close eye on, I think, over the next few days. And if we finally compare to the latest ECLF, the Ensemble memo is just coming out, but you can see the next 8 days, very consistent, lots of up and down precipitation. And again, expect more in the west, but generally speaking, temperatures will be a little bit all over the place. Again, here you can see mid-teens, high teens, with frequent showers. So again, we'll have to keep an eye on the UKV, looking at the exact timings, intensities of the rain over the coming days. And still got some rain overnight tonight, but then a bit of a drier period, a bit of a lull Wednesday evening into Thursday for that rain all emerges once again, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So we'll pick this up nearer the time and have a good look at that UKV run. But for the time being, most of the runs now showing this very unsettled spell to end May, and yeah, we'll have to see what early June has in store. Perhaps tentative signs of a bit of an improvement, but again, wouldn't be surprised if we see this unsettled pattern stick around for the foreseeable future. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.